Hello, my friends. It is Laura Victoria Ward here, offering you a live, unscripted opportunity to microdose some micro movement. So I think a lot of people turn towards microdosing uh, psychedelics to shift something in their lives or shift something in their systems. And I would like to offer that while psychedelics are a great entry point for changing your mind state or for finding insight, we can also do it without psychedelics. And so this is a invitation to dive into sensation, to get out of your head. I'm going to guide it and talk through a lot of this, but you may find that your experience is very different than what I'm saying. And I also want to give you a quick escape hatch, and that is if it feels like too much, turn it off, walk around, do something very familiar, check out your environment. Ideally, check out your environment while walking around. So you're moving forward and you're taking in the fact that you are safe. But I'm going to dive right into this and I'm going to invite you to participate with me. I'm going to start with breathing. I'm going to take a big inhale. And I'm just going to let it out with a sigh. I'm actually going to add arms for this. For me, inhaling and opening, and then exhaling, softening and releasing. So I'm filling up, I'm lifting up, but I'm also breathing down into my diaphragm, breathing down into my organs, and then softening and releasing. Two more like that. This is macro movement. This is big, expansive movement. Reaching out, feeling the space around my body and stretching into that space. So I'm taking up space. And I'm going to let it out with a sigh. Whenever we sigh to release sound with our breath, it's going to drop us down a little bit deeper. We're going to be able to down regulate with that. So the invitation is to let's first just close our eyes for a minute and tune into the sensations in our bodies. Feeling whatever you feel. Invite your mind to soften. Invite your brain to relax. And as you're inviting your mind and brain to soften and relax, also invite your body to soften and relax. So that you can tune into the sensations within your body. So maybe you can feel your heartbeat or your pulse. That's fairly deep. If you spent some time inside, you might be able to feel those. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. So we could say it's the growing and shrinking of your breath. In Laban, we talk a lot about the whole thing getting bigger and then smaller with the breath. So I want to introduce this idea of micro movement as tiny little subtle shifts in movement that may be not perceptible to people on the outside, but you're starting to tune into that perception. So you're starting to notice subtle little shifts and changes, and you're not going to impinge upon them. You're going to allow them to express. So in a sense, you're letting the fluidity of your system start to come into awareness. You're starting to tune into the possibility of feeling into a different way of being. So a different, maybe kinder, more gentle way of being within your body, within yourself. So I'm going to invite you to tune into the idea and into the sensation of your spine from your head to your tail. And if you look at me, and you can do this with your eyes open so you can see there's a slight amount of moving going on. And I would say that this is not like I'm not making decisions that I'm going to show you how I'm moving with a plan of what the movements are. I'm just allowing the movements to bubble up, to arrive. So we could think of almost like the bubbles in a champagne flue just bubbling up. And with that idea, I'm inviting my spinal cord, my nervous system to start to have some freedom. So there's sort of maybe rippling and flowing within my system. If your teeth are closed, let your teeth soften and open. You could also start by moving your tongue around, maybe even moving your face around. So as soon as I start to move my face, move my tongue, bring my awareness into this part of my being, it can shift things already. Like we have a holding pattern of us being us in our faces, right? There's that resting bitch face thing. Then there's also like, I'm smiling for everyone, I'm very open. Like whatever face you are showing to the world, give it some opportunity to be a little bit different. And this could be small micro movement in your face. It could be a play. So I'm opening up my face and shifting it around, letting it kind of chew face, neck, tongue, having some freedom in the interest of allowing some new movement into my system. Micro dosing, micro movement. We're inviting a sort of different participation with being human, a more fluid participation. So even as I picked my hand up, my hand had been on my knee and I picked it up and then I'm like, now I have this freedom in here. So I'm moving and playing in my system. And it may take a long time for this to become something that just arises. So fake it till you make it. Start to move in ways that, like, I'm letting ripples and waves come through. Or like micro breakdance. Embody your micro flow in whatever way feels good and interesting to you. So that's a huge thing. We want to become curious about sensation so that we can dive into it. So that instead of like in our meditation practice, maybe just try this one or two times instead of being like, okay, I'm going to stay in stillness, I'm going to rest in stillness, let the whole thing settle down. What if you rest it in fluidity? So imagining that your whole body is a body of water. Guess what? It is. And as you tune into it, you're allowing ripples, small waves, tentacle action, imagining your body not as a human body, but as a organic body of water, maybe even like a single-celled creature or a tadpole. So you're letting your fluid system start to free from your head to your tail, which is then in turn freeing towards the outer edges. If this is a completely new idea, it's going to take a while to sort of start to crack away some of the holding patterns that you have instilled or have been instilled in you culturally, familially, politically, all those things that we take on as how we should be in the world. But the invitation is to tune into yourself and keep moving towards what feels good. And if you feel like this is really frustrating and, let that idea just spiral away and see if you can find something that's curious inside, some kind of sensation that you can follow, some kind of awareness that can bubble up in your system of human body. But imagining it maybe like a seagrass body or even like a whole kelp field body. Your body could be the murmuration. So it's kind of a little marriage between allowing things to bubble up and also imagining things that are sort of potent images that connect deeply to you. And imagine like, what if I was like a fungal mycelium or a mushroom or like a fungal growth? How would I move? How would I like the slime mold? Amazingly intelligent creatures system that is digesting the detritus, digesting the compost, right? So how do we do that within our own bodies? When we invite in this idea of micro movement, it's an invitation to digest what has not been digested. While I was looking at my phone, while I was doing this and then running to that, and then I went to this, and then when did you get to digest your experience? So this is in your body, allowing your body to digest, process, and free up some space. I was listening to Michael Taft's podcast with Ruben Laukonen, and he talks about pruning what is it? Like it's like you're pruning the inner landscape and letting in these times of silent introspection that we're allowing like the internal, I don't want to say house cleaning because that's too active, but like letting the leaves fall off the trees in the fall, letting the stuff melt and drop away. And we can add to that the simplicity of that with our breath, big three-dimensional breathing, with the idea of the water in our body, the fluidity in our body. Even with the fire in our body, the fire of our spirit, letting some of that stuff burn away. What's the extra stuff that you don't need to hold on to? So, depending on what personality type you are, different elements may be beneficial to helping you settle, helping you process, helping you release. Still moving with that micro dosing. So, maybe starting with micro dosing the idea of your body just being water and inviting that element to really come online with you. Yeah, as I do that, I can feel this different relationship of my head to my spine. And inside my body, I can hear some of the sounds of that adjusting, little snap, crackles, and pops. And when I close my eyes and really go in, it becomes very curious, very interesting. And if I sort of let that ripple down, I'm going pretty quickly to make a sort of short video. I can bring that into my heart, chest, and lungs, into my diaphragm, inviting it to move, to soften, to free up. And then if I go even deeper, I can take that down into my gut body, into my belly, into my organs, into my creative center. And not stopping the movement anywhere, just letting it ripple, play, dance around inside my body as I'm sort of shining the light of awareness within into these flows, seeing what the inner capacity is for freedom, for calming, for settling. What can I let go of? What needs to drop away? Yeah. Anytime I get that big sigh, I start to settle and drop. If you're a very settled and drop person, maybe focusing more on the rise of the inhale is helpful. So if you are somebody who is already a little on the rigid side, a little on the stable side, let the breath come up. You could even think of it like fountaining out so that the breath is going. And you're tuning from this inner space into the outer space. Microdosing, micro movement in order to shift the perception, shift your awareness of being, shift what it feels like to be in your body. Start to work through some of the little gooky parts, right? As soon as I said that, this like kind of pulsing energy started to move through me. And it's, oh, very delicious. So it's like, what can I allow my system to do? And there's a different breath pattern to this. It's like pulsing up, pulsing up, pulsing up. And it's not me making that happen. It arrived. And I'm like, oh, check this out. What is this? So maybe different things arrive, and it's really actually coming from down here. What does your body have to offer today if you spend some time listening in, feeling into it? Oh, what deliciousness is in there. What juicy fluidity is in there. If you can just soften, melt, and release enough to listen, to feel, to tune in, let it surprise you. If you think you know, you're probably wrong. Get out of your head. Let that just fall away. So Like with meditation, when we think about, like, okay, there are thoughts, but just don't grasp onto them. It's the same thing in the body. Like, there may be thoughts, but just don't grasp onto them. Or there may be an idea of where you should be going. Don't grasp it. Let that go and let your system speak. Allow the free flow internal adjustments in your system that are going to bring on, facilitate health, facilitate well-being, facilitate ease in your body, in the world. So starting to tune in, where are those little clenches? When do they happen? Where are those little holding patterns? And bringing the awareness in so that we can microdose sensation and start to recognize it. And then we're able to go, oh, maybe this is a good time to change direction. Or maybe I really need to dive in here and spend some time with this. And it's a very non-goal oriented business, this stuff. It's like, let's go in and just discover. Let's go in and be curious. Let's go into this realm of wonder that is the internal body, internal sensation. And if we've spent a lifetime of shutting that down, sit still, be quiet. Don't really tell anyone the truth about what you're feeling, seeing, thinking. But if that's been your MO for a lot of your life, this is going to be hard. This is going to be a challenge. So take it in micro doses. Do 2 minutes. Do 2 minutes. Do 30 seconds of just tuning in. What do I feel? Is there something I can let go of? Is there something I can free up? Yeah. And if it's too much, walk away, come back tomorrow, try another 2 minutes, come back tomorrow, try another 3 minutes, the next day, the next day, the next week. We show up in each other's lives when we're ready for it, right? Like when we're ready for the practice, when we're ready to open up our world, when we're ready to expand. There may be a little microdose somewhere for you to follow. And it may be one of your friends, it may be your mom, it may be, your partner. It may be the earth, it may be the sun, it may be the air, maybe the water. You can also light a candle to just burn away anything that you can't deal with. Burn away any of the extra stuff that you can't be responsible for. Yeah, so in the interest of staying under 20 minutes, I am going to stop this stream and just request that if you have watched this, if you are getting anything out of this, check out the other videos on my channel. There's a lot of stuff in there, from much more specific form-oriented stuff to really freedom diving in stuff. But this is, in the sense, like, to give you one more tool in your practice of how to be a human, because we all need many, many tools. Every day is a different day in your body. So thank you. Please like and subscribe. Please. Weirdo-ness. Invite in your inner weirdo-ness. Let it out. Share it with the people. We all need to see and hear you.